Hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Green for the Whining Palooza podcast, and I am so excited today. We get to talk to the wonderful Darla Nelson. Darla, thank you so much for being here with me today.
I am so honored and privileged to get to be on your show. This is so much fun.
We're going to have so much fun, and we're going to learn so much from her. Let me tell you why I'm so excited. Darla is a Christian life coach, speaker, and Amazon best-selling author of I'm Fine, Really. Really, we're not. So I love the title. She helps women move from stress, anxious thoughts, and emotional overwhelm into a life with more peace, calm, and faith grounded confidence. Through her coaching, speaking, and media appearances, Darla encourages people to stop pretending they are fine and start giving themselves permission to heal, breathe, and live with more honesty and grace. We all need you. We all need you. I mean, that is just so fantastic. We all need help with all of this. And as I told Darla, I just received her book like last night. So this morning, I'm holding it up if you're watching. I'm scrambling to read it this morning because I love when I can read a book before I meet with my guests. So thank you for the book. And
You're so welcome.
I loved it. I told Darla before we started recording, this is like the perfect book to start every morning. I mean, perfect. But
Mm.
I want to start with what inspired this beautiful book.
Oh, that's such a good question. Rebecca, there really wasn't one like dramatic moment. It was like years of noticing this pattern in my own life. And it was,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done this before, but it's this, oh, I'm fine. It's like I was that person, right? I was the one that was going, oh, I'm fine. You notice it at church, you notice it wherever you go.
Yes.
And I was raising three kids. I was supporting my husband's career, I volunteering. Before I was a life coach, I was a financial advisor and went through the down
Mm,
economy, all the things, right? And from the outside, everything looked really good. It did.
mm, yeah.
But there were seasons, oh my goodness, where I was stressed, I was overwhelmed, definitely worried about finances during the down economy, struggling with my thoughts, which is such a big deal, and carrying burdens that I really wasn't talking about. I was fine. I was fine. And then as a coach, what I've noticed, I've been coaching now for like 8 years. I started hearing the same thing from client after client after client. And we would come to session and they would sit down with me and they go, well, I think I'm doing great. But, and that's when I realized so many people were wearing this mask of I'm fine. And what I really hope that this book does for people is really give them an invitation to take off that darn mask.
No, I know, but why do we do that? I mean, women get so stressed and overwhelmed and anxious. And yet, when you ask them, why do we say that we're fine? Why do we do that?
Well, I remember as an example, this was years ago, but I remember standing in a grocery store. You're standing in line and someone just out of habit, people go, oh, how are you doing? And I remember I said just automatically like, oh, I'm fine. And the truth was I wasn't. I was carrying that stress and that worry and that exhaustion. And what struck me later was how automatic that answer becomes in our lives. And I think many of us have learned that we have to put on this mask, this face of being strong and keeping it all together. But I've really discovered for myself and with working with other women and a few wise men, I don't know if you noticed that on the back of the book, that real strength comes when we are just honest about where we are in life rather than pretending.
Yeah. And and it's going through my head. It's so funny. You ask the question and you get answers coming to you. I think I'm going to believe it when I say that. So if we're
Mm.
not fine and we say I'm good, I'm fine, I think it'll get myself to believe that,
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. If we
right?
just tell ourselves that, well, it's true, Rebecca, because
Yeah.
so often, whatever it is, whether it's fine or anything else, if we continuously tell ourselves something, whatever it is, over and over again, I'm not worth it, as an example. I have no value.
Right.
whatever it is. No one's ever going to listen to me. No one's going to like me, whatever. And we keep repeating that in our minds, it starts becoming truth to us.
That is very true. I mean, all of your stuff about the power of words. I have
Mm,
I have to tell you, I have worked hard to explain this to people. I don't think that people buy in or understand the power of our words. Can you touch on that?
there is so much power in our words that, oh my goodness. So I love that chapter because what I have found in all my years of coaching and with myself, of course, I'm always going to say, hello. The only reason I can teach this stuff is because I've done it, been there,
Yeah.
done that.
Mhm.
Is I'm going to use the example of never always those words. And I'm never going to be good enough. I'm always overweight. I'm whatever the situation was. If we continuously tell us that, there's so much power in that. Like I mentioned previously, we begin to believe it. And yet there's so much power in flipping the switch. When we flip the switch to say, the opposite. And one of the things I love to talk about is um, there's a book that I've read that helped me years ago, and it's mentioned in the book. He's actually one of the acknowledgments at the front, is the book Affirmations. And it's not affirmations, but it's affor. And what he teaches is that it's asking ourselves the right question. So we could say, why am I a loser? Or that's negative, right? Or we could switch it and we could say, why do I have the ability to be such an encouragement to other people? Or whatever the answer is. Because when we ask a negative question, our mind automatically flips to look for the answer to that question. And yet, if we ask a good question, our mind will start validating why that's true. And none of this happens overnight. This takes practice. But I've had to do this so much myself over the years. And what's beautiful, Rebecca, is when you get to the point where you just start answering positively.
Isn't
And
that nice?
it's not fake. It's not fake. It's not a false positivity. It's a learned behavior. It's a tool that we learn. And that's my hope for my clients is that they learn that these are tools to change their life.
Well, and you said something so important that it becomes a habit. Our
Yes.
thinking becomes a habit. And you talked so much in your book about um, letting go of the not so good habits and bringing in the better habits. So, can you give us some advice? We have a bad habit, whether it's negative thinking or eating junk food, and we want to switch it into a good habit. So, help us with that.
Yeah, so the section on habits in the book is towards the end of the book, and the reason I did that, it's kind of like almost two sections of the book, is because when I say healthy habits, sometimes the word habit in and of itself is like a negative. Oh, I don't want to have a habit like that, right? And so, but I like to think of it as a healthy habit. So we can have, you'll notice the order that I talk about them is, for me personally, I'm a spiritual person. And so one of the habits that I have is how do I begin my day? Like my husband, literally just this morning, my husband and I had this conversation. I literally said to him at about 6 o'clock this morning, like, I can't imagine just jumping out of bed and going on with my day, like getting ready and out the door. Like, I don't function well that way. And I used to do that. And then I was miserable. And then, the house was a mess and I felt a mess and the bed wasn't made and, all the things. And so I started to recreate habits. And so for me, the number one thing that I feel affects my day is, in a good way, is to begin my day in quietness. And then to have some sort of movement or exercise in my day. And so if not to say that I have this all figured out. I don't ever want people to think Darla has it all figured out. I don't. But I also have learned the tools and I've begun to create them over the last 8 years of my life to where, yeah, waking up and coming out into my living room, it is a habit. It is a habit. I sit on my couch with my drink in the morning. I have this little power drink that I drink, and I sit there. And for me, I spend time with God and I read and I journal and those kind of things. And if that's not the listeners, if you're not there yet, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds impossible. Don't try to do it all at once.
Right.
Don't think, oh, tomorrow I'm going to like get up and journal and I'm going to, exercise and I'm going to drink all my water and I'm going to run 5 miles. And, realistically, that is not going to last.
Mm-mm.
But just start with one. If someone's listening and they want to get healthier, I would say the number one thing you should do is just simply start. I'm going to show you right here. Get your water bottle and start drinking more water every day. Just start there and create that healthy habit. And then once you've got that one down for a few weeks, then add the next one. And maybe the next one is, you know what? Maybe you're not ready for the gym as an example, but maybe you're ready to like walk to the mailbox instead of drive, like just do that. So they
Well,
build upon each other, Rebecca.
yeah, and I love that you talked about how your morning wasn't working for you. So I think we first, like you said, need to figure out what's not working
Hmm.
to replace it with what is working for you.
Right, right. Have you noticed anything yourself that, like, if you wake up a certain way, you're more grumpy, or if you wake up a certain way, you have more joy in your life? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, right. I mean, my mornings are interesting. We won't talk. I'm still in the lunches and I you know what? It's so funny. My next question for you was how early do you get up? Because I get up, and people are going to argue with me on this. I get up at 6 and I'm going to be honest, I don't want to get up any earlier. I don't want to get up any earlier. So there will come a time where I'm not making the lunches and rushing out the door.
Well, we're in different stages of life too. Like you're making lunches. I don't know who that's for. Are you making lunches for children?
Children and husband, I do his lunch too.
Well, what a good wife you are. And so I think that's so important for listeners to remember too, is that we're all at different stages of life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not making lunches anymore. I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
my husband makes his own lunch when he wants to, and if he doesn't, he goes out. Excuse me, but I haven't had to do that for quite a few years. And so give yourself grace about that,
Yeah.
right? There's going to come a day when you're going to go, man, I wish I was making lunches.
I know. I'm sure I'll miss it. I mean, when you're in the thick of it, you're not thinking that, but I'm sure there will come a time where I'll be like, I'm not making anyone's lunches.
Well, you asked me earlier what time I get up. What's interesting about that question is that about a year ago, I would have told you like I get up about 6 o'clock, six
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of the year, my husband and I started going to the gym together. And we only go Monday, Wednesday, Friday together. And based on his work schedule, we have to get up at 5:15 so we can leave by 5:30
Oh my gosh.
so we could drive to the gym, be there for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then come back again. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. And now, literally just this morning, this is really comical how this is happening. I realized I was up before my husband. No, I don't even use an alarm. Never. We don't use alarms anymore. Our body just wakes up.
Amazing. Amazing.
The light will come through the window and I can go, oh, and I can guesstimate. Like it's probably about 5:15. And sure enough, I roll over, look at my phone. Yep, that's what time it is.
Wow.
It's just become a habit.
Yes, yes. It all becomes a habit. I know. All you people working out at 5 a.m., you're amazing. I have friends who do that. I think you're all amazing. So healthy habits, people. So we're all stressed. I am going to tell you that I don't know if I've talked to a woman who hasn't told me that she's stressed.
Mm.
So how do we know when it's, normal, everyday, not so bad stress and when it's like getting really bad?
Well, I'll tell you from personal experience
Yeah.
how I knew.
Yeah.
When it starts affecting your everyday thought, when you're just constantly thinking about all the things and worried, my own experience, and I do talk about this in the book, I can't remember what chapter it is, where I talk about I was so stressed out during well, this would have been back in like 2010, 2012, that period of time when I live in California, when the economy was crashing. And I remember Rebecca stand very vividly, even as I tell you, I can remember standing in the shower and the whole left side of my body was numb. And I was not sleeping well. I was waking up all the time. I was panicking. I was having, like little mini panic attacks.
Mm.
My shoulder, everything hurt. Everything hurt,
Yeah.
right? Headaches all the time, all that kind of stuff. So if you're listening and you're wondering, like, is this just stress because, I need to pay a bill? Or is this stress because there's so much going on and it's accumulated in my life to the point that it's now affecting every part of it? It's really important to stop and just be like, just allow yourself to sit on your couch or go somewhere in your car all by yourself. I've done this many times, I promise you. And pull over to the side of the road at a park or something and just think like, do I want to continue on this path?
No.
Do I want to continue in this way that I'm living right now? What if are we constantly going to keep making decisions that are going to keep affecting our health? Because our health, I believe, our body talks to us. If you read, when you read my book in detail, you'll see that I was living with constant headaches. I was living
Yeah.
on Excedrin like all the time. Excedrin loved me, the company. I hardly ever take an aspirin now.
When I did read that part, I was just so struck with people don't realize how stress can affect our bodies. We don't
Mhm.
realize that the left side of our body is numb because of stress. It can be
Did you
that
know?
serious.
Yes. Did you know that? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the exact percentage. I think it's like 83%, and it says in the book um, of people that end up in the OR,
Yeah.
the underlying cause is stress. So you might go there for something completely different and you realize that it's stress. I'm a prime example. This is not in the book. Years ago, when I was so stressed out, I remember I was laying in bed one morning and my husband hadn't left for work yet. And he came out and I was like, my chest was heavy. I was hurting and all the things, right? And he was like, what's going on? I go, I think I need to go to the ER. Like, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Mm.
And yet really I knew that it was stress. I did.
Wow.
I did know it was stress because I know my body well enough. And yet there was still this fear, right? This fear of, oh my gosh. And so we did. We went to the ER and I had all the tests done. And, they come back, they go, all your tests are great. Your tests are great. And they don't mention to you, oh, this could maybe be stress. They didn't mention that. And yet I knew it was. And so it's kind of like when I got my diagnosis years ago when I was told I might have rheumatoid arthritis. It's like I knew then that my thoughts affect my health. Our thoughts affect, it causes stress, it affects our relationships, it affects our everyday life. Our thoughts will spiral. You'll lay awake at night worried about all the things you can't even control.
Yeah. Yeah. So touch on that because overthinking is one of the biggest things that women complain about. So how can we help them less think?
Less think. I like that. Right. Well, our thoughts spiral often, right?
Yes. Yes.
We're thinking like, oh my gosh, what if this gets worse? Or what if I can't do the things I love anymore? What is this going to mean for my future? And you have to start paying attention between the connection between our thoughts, our stress, and our physical health. And when we do that, we start that journey can begin to change our life. When we pay attention, so importantly to pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. And, I mentioned this a little bit in the beginning. I do not believe in toxic positivity. Like there's some people out there that are just, oh, you got to be jolly all the time. I do not believe in that. That to me is pretending. So it's learning to replace this fear driven thinking with truthful thinking. Who am I? And being the spiritual person that I am, I often will say, I am a child of God. I am loved. I am kind. All the things, right? And you repeat it to yourself, the things that are true about you. I have some clients that I work with, Rebecca, that when they come to me and they're in this negative spiral, I'll just stop them. I go, let's take a deep breath. And I want you to tell me one thing that's true about yourself. And sometimes it's hard for them.
So sad. So sad. I do want to talk about your faith because I think it's really helped you and it's beautiful to read about. So, can you tell people how your faith has moved you to such a better place? One of the keys. It's been one of the keys.
Absolutely. I fortunately was raised with faith in my home and with parents, and I feel like, even though I appreciated that as a child, I don't feel like I really valued it until I was, of course, married and older and had my own children.
Yeah.
And then even more so, I really see that I even got more important to me around the time that my dad was passing away, which was in 2013. And he would, I don't know if you, for people watching, I don't know if you could see the sign behind me, but I have this sign and it's Philippians 4, verse 8. And it basically says, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, trustworthy, to think on those things. And so, there were seasons in my life, obviously, with all of us, where life doesn't really go according to plan, right?
Right.
And maybe like the season when I was experiencing financial stress and uncertainty, I wanted answers. I wanted certainty, but God taught me to trust.
Mm.
And so, one of my favorite sayings I talk about too in the book is that trust and control cannot coexist. But it's not this trust, Rebecca, that everything is going to be easy. No, because when we get to the point where we begin to say, you know what, Lord, I don't understand this. I have no idea what's going on in my life right now, but I'm just going to trust you with it. It just totally changes the energy of it all. It truly does. And it takes practice. And you might think like there's been times like, okay, I feel like, okay, I'm learning this. I'm getting better at this. And then bam, a new experience comes, right? Something you maybe you've never even done before. And you're like, and what helps me, where my faith comes in, is that I remember, you know what? God brought me through all those other things. He's going to bring me through this again.
I mean, the story about your daughter, I was like, I don't know that I can do this.
Yes, that was a really, really difficult time for me.
I mean, just trusting and giving that over to God. I don't know. I don't know that I could do that. I mean, I love that it worked out and I was really impressed with you.
Oh, well, thank you. That was such a difficult time. And yet, if you could only see the result, my daughter is happily married now. She's having a baby in December.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, and she will tell you it's all God. She will tell you that.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's just been so good. She's taught me so much about life
Mm, they're good
and of
teachers.
and of letting go, trusting God and letting go. And we raise our kids. How old are your kids, Rebecca?
13, 17, and 19.
Okay, so you're in those really good, fun stages. Okay.
So fun.
Yes. And this is such a good conversation because this is such a good time just to say, you know what? I have raised my children, 17, 19, all of them, all three of them. You've raised them to eventually have, you're forming their wings, right? And they're gonna fly and you want them to fly and you want them to know that you trust them to fly. Because if we're trying to hold on and not allow them to fly, then even if it, we need to allow them to fly in the way that they're gonna like, imagine a nest, right? And this bird flies out and it like one might fall to the ground. And we have to allow our kids to fall.
Yeah.
That's not easy. We want to fix
Mm-mm.
it all.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Moms are fixers.
Yes,
We
we
sit on our hands.
are for sure.
Oh my gosh. I just I see how women are every day and they go nonstop. They don't take care of themselves. They feel guilty when they do take care of themselves, and it's not good for them. So, I would love some words of wisdom from you to help these mothers slow down a little bit.
To slow down for them physically, mentally, spiritually, all the
Yes.
things,
Yes.
right? And
Yes. Yes.
it once again, let's talk about self-care for a moment.
Mhm.
Self-care is not selfish.
We can keep saying that. We need to keep saying that.
Yes. And self-care doesn't have to be expensive. See, people in some people's minds, they might, well, self-care, I need to go get a massage, I need to get my nails done, I need to go get whatever, a pedicure, get my hair done, and that all costs money. And maybe not everybody has that. And so self-care, like I remember self-care to me back in, when was it, like 2006, 2008, when we first moved into this one house. And for me, that was walking. And I'm still a major walker, but it was free. It's free. I already had a pair of tennis
Agree.
shoes. I already have my body. I can put those shoes on and I can start walking. And I would put, it's kind of funny. I think I mentioned this in the book. I would put my hair in a ponytail and I'd be walking, 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 and my ponytail would be going ding, ding, ding. And people would go, "Oh, I saw you walking down that street, and there you were on that street." And there's so much more to it than walking. It's alone. I like to walk alone. Every once in a while, I go with a friend, but there's so much peace that comes when we do something for ourselves. And maybe for you, it's not walking. Maybe for you, the listener, maybe for you, it's like I mentioned earlier, pulling to the side of the road at a park and just sit there and think. Or another way I do self-care is I at least once a week I go to lunch with a friend. I went to lunch with a friend, yes, two friends yesterday, and we just laughed hysterically at the table and had a wonderful time. And we were only there like an hour and 15 minutes maybe. And it's just, to me, that's self-care.
I agree with that. And I also find that, friends will often say, I know you're busy. And our days
Mm.
are busy, but putting aside the list, going out to lunch with a friend, that is like one of the best things that we can do, to just put the list aside.
Yes. Let's talk about that four-letter word.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the four-letter word busy. I really try hard and I to not use that word in my vocabulary. I used to say it all the time. And someone taught me that years ago to not say busy because I believe too that we can get so busy
Yeah,
that it becomes a habit, a negative habit. It's not a healthy one.
it's true.
And so when it comes to like self-care and friendships and lunchtime with your friends, and once again, we're all in different categories and chapters of our life. Make it a priority. If it means you can only have lunch with a friend, once every other month, as an example,
Mhm.
then plan it. I just this morning, someone said something about getting together with me. And I said, absolutely, I would love to. Let's plan it. And I'm putting it in their court now. because they have told me that over and over and over again. I'm here. Let's plan it. Even if it's 6 months from now, let's plan it.
Yeah,
Or it's never going to happen.
it's really good advice. Get it on the calendar.
Get it on the calendar.
And we're not going to use the word busy. I don't like
Don't,
that word. And I really don't like when people say, I know how busy you are. I don't like that. No, I have time for you. And please don't say that.
well, you know what? I think it's wise that you respond with that first part. Respond with, if they say that to you, say it to me. Act like
Like,
let's role play.
I know you're so busy.
Say, you know what? I appreciate that. And yes, my calendar is full. I didn't use the word busy. Did you notice that? My calendar is full and you're really important to me. So let's make time for each other. Let's
I
schedule it
love
now.
that.
Let's get our phones out and schedule it.
I love it. That's perfect. It's beautiful. I'm going to remember that. I that is one of my pet peeves to everybody listening who knows me. Don't say I know how busy you are. I don't like that.
I won't. I'll make sure I don't do that, Rebecca.
Oh, you did talk about something in the book that I have to ask you about. Somebody was carrying a lot of mental weight and it showed up as physical weight. And you worked with him, if I'm remembering the story correctly, and he, through talking to you, was able to release like 40 pounds. So, can you talk to us about how we carry mental weight physically?
Absolutely. So that in the book, I refer to him as Don. And his real name, he lets me tell his real name. He's like, you could have put my real name in there. His real name is Dan. Dan came to me to lose 40 pounds. And this was years ago. And I remember when he came, like I knew immediately. He was referred to me. I had never met him in person. Only saw each other on Zoom. And he came because he thought it was all about the weight, right?
Yeah,
For him, within a short amount of time, I think it was just a couple of weeks of sessions, I realized that he'd lost a daughter. His daughter had passed away. And then in the midst of all that, him and his wife divorced over the trauma of all that. She actually had an affair. And so, but now he's hiring me years later to lose weight. And I'm like, eventually I help him to understand that it's not about the weight. Like I never asked him like, what do you weigh? I didn't ask you, we didn't even talk about weight after that. We just started talking more about the weight on the shoulders because energetically, physiologically, we will hold on to physical weight. We just do when we're holding on to stress and all the things in our life that maybe we haven't let go of. In his case, he had never really worked on letting go. Not that we ever let go of some, let me rephrase that. We don't let go of someone that passed away. We move through, we move, we move on, we move through, but we're not moving on even from losing someone. For him, and with anybody listening, it's taking your experience and saying it could be something horrible that happened to you. There could be someone listening right now that maybe's gone through something horrible and it's true and it happened. And so my hope for them, like Dan, is to learn the tools to let go of the emotions, to let go of the anger, the frustration, all the different things that are keeping them stuck, keeping them, in his case, 40 pounds heavier, and get to a point where you want to unravel, you want to let go of those things. And he did. And what I share in the book is that he ends up working with me for 12 weeks. And then after that, he was able to, he called me like a year later. And he's like, Darla, I was just at this wedding and my son was there. And I sat for the first time with my son in the middle, my ex-wife on the other side of him. And he goes, Darla, for the first time, I wasn't angry anymore. And he was thanking me. And I said, you know what? I really appreciate that you thanked me. I says, but Dan, you did the work. I mean, he did some really deep work in those 12 weeks.
That's amazing. That's nice to hear that people can let go of that stuff and heal from that.
Yes. And what's crazy is he lost 40 pounds. He actually lost more than that. And then I also mentioned in the book where he remarried and he got married in August. It'll be this August, it'll be 2 years, I think. And I still never met him in person. And he invited me to his wedding. So my husband and I went, and I was so honored because I'm sitting in the audience. It's August. It's like so hot. And there he is. He's up at the front with his groomsmen, and I still haven't met him in person. And I'm just staring, he sees me, I see him. And when everybody stood up and turned around to look at the bride, I just stood and looked at Dan
Oh,
because he's not that much younger than me, but I felt like he was my kid. I was just looking at him like, wow, Dan, you did the work that led
oh,
to this beautiful day.
so rewarding. That's so rewarding for you too. That's just
It was.
amazing.
As
Amazing.
soon as they walked down the aisle, my husband and I hightailed it over there, and I was like, Dan, and I got to meet him and hug him, and oh
Oh,
man, it was wonderful.
I love that so much, all of it. But you did talk about grief a little bit, and there's people listening who are really in the thick of it. And I love that you talked about what helped you through your grief. Can you tell people a little about that?
Yes. So for me, once again, being a spiritual person, grief, what helped me mostly was acknowledging my grief, acknowledging that I was hurting, not trying to push that under a rug. And for me, it was giving my cares to God. I journaled a lot during that period of time. And grief comes in waves. I've noticed that over my lifetime in my experiences of losing my brother and then also losing my father. And also, grief is going to be different for everyone. How we respond to it is different. How I responded was very different to some than how other family members responded. And it doesn't mean my way's right, Rebecca. It doesn't mean that the other person were doing it wrong. It was just different. Some people are going to respond more openly. Some people are going to cry openly. Some people aren't going to cry at all. And so then maybe someone else is looking on the person that's not crying and they think, oh, they don't have any feelings, you know? And yet they do. They do. They just express them differently. And so to get, like we talked about, you don't just like get over whoever's passed away. And grief is not just when someone dies. Grief is like maybe you've had this long career and suddenly you get laid off. Or maybe you've lived in a wonderful home you love and it goes into foreclosure and now you have to move out. There's grief, right? Or you're going through divorce and you no longer get to see your children. Those are all forms of grief. And
It's
so it's
true.
just giving yourself grace and time and knowing that it's not going to just, I don't like to use the word magically, but it's not going to just like go away overnight.
Mm-mm.
But it's acknowledging it and saying, yes, I hurt. And then finding the tools that work for you because what works for you might not work for the next person. And we don't want to make someone feel less than because they're not doing it our way,
Mm-mm.
right?
No, no. We're all so different. Our kids are different. We're different. It's true. I mean, what do you think you learned most from all that grief? Because that's a lot. Your brother and your dad, that's a lot.
Yes, I was in a totally different phase of life when my brother died. I was young. I was a new mom, had two small children. I was busy and it was hard. It was very hard, but it was different than losing my father. And losing my father, was difficult. Like I think I shared this in the book. I can't remember. I talk about, I remember when dad had been gone for a while, their home had burned down. I was trying to help them, my mom rebuild their home and all this stuff. And now he's gone. And I needed to go to Home Depot. And so I went to Home Depot and I was so sad. But here I am at Home Depot. And I remember sitting down on a toilet display. You know how they have like toilets for sale out there at Home Depot? I just remember sitting down and just crying right in the middle of Home Depot. And it was really, really difficult for me. And fortunately for me, what helped so much was prayer, spending time in the Word, talking to certain people. I did see a therapist for a short time. And eventually, what I do talk about too is that through a dream that I had, my dad said it was time to let him go. And that dream changed everything for me
I
because
couldn't believe that. That's crazy.
I know. It was
Yeah.
like, and I thanked my dad, like, thank you for that dream because it just really helped me to realize that I was kind of stuck there. And it hadn't been that long. I mean, that dream was like in May of 2014, and he had only died in August of 2013. Excuse me, I'm getting my numbers wrong. He died in August of 2013, and now this was May of 2014 that I had the dream. And so some time had passed, but not quite a year. And I knew that my dad would, and my brother, they both would want me to go live life and bring joy to other people.
Absolutely. Which you do every day in your coaching and your book.
Thank you.
I mean, I could go on and on. Do you feel like we have so many questions? Do you feel like there is a topic or a question that I didn't ask you that you would like to touch on?
Maybe the be do have concept. That's one of
Mm,
the chapters in the book. I actually talk about that quite a bit in different podcasts and shows I've been on and things. And I think it would really resonate with your clients, your listeners, is that what the be do have concept is that so often we live in a society where we think we have to have all these things. So when I have a better marriage, when I have more money in the bank, when I have a new home, when I have a better husband, whatever it is, then I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get to be. And I teach the opposite. I teach, let's flip it. It's
yes.
who are we waking up? Who do we want to be? So figure out what that is for you, the listener. For me, I want to be a loving, compassionate, inspiring soul. And that is a focus of mine every day. Now, does it mean I'm always loving, compassionate, inspiring? No, but it is a focus. It's a desire. It's an intention. And when we start to live that, so when you wake up one day and you're not loving, compassionate, inspiring, then I remind myself, why am I not?
Mhm.
And what can I do to make it go back that way? Right? Do I need to go back to bed? Do I need to exercise? Do I need to just sit on my couch and be for a little bit? And when we start living into that being, then that being can start influencing every single relationship. It can influence your job, your health, because then you're going to learn to respond to life versus react to life. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. Yes. And I will tell you from experience of really working hard to practice on this stuff is that sometimes we do still react. And
Yes.
then as I'm listening to you, we have to remember the word grace. And
Yes.
I think that that's the other thing that I hear a lot is that women don't give themselves enough grace and expect way too much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I just did a video on that yesterday on my Instagram. Anybody that's interested, I do videos 3 times a week on Instagram at Coach Darla Nelson. And it just came to me. I was literally at a coffee shop yesterday and by myself reading a book I gave myself like 30 minutes to do that.
Love that.
It was fun. And it was cool. I met two people there. I got a great conversation. But while I was sitting by myself having this latte, I this thought came to me, and it kind of goes with what you just commented. So often we are constantly trying to fix all the things. It can get overwhelming.
Hmm. Very
And
much.
from a spiritual perspective, it's not about the doing. I can't do anything more. I just need to be,
I
right?
know. Yes, yes. Human being, not human doing. I keep saying
Yes,
that, saying that. That's really good. Yes, yes. So I'm holding it up again. What do you want everyone to take away from this awesome book?
well, I want to share just one more little story, if I can.
Of course.
It's making me think of a client that I have in Italy. And when we first started coaching, she felt overwhelmed, anxious. She was constantly worried she wasn't doing enough, that she wasn't enough. And months later, I'll never forget her saying this to me in session. She said, "You know what, Darla? I'm starting to have these little strange pieces of happiness." Made my heart melt. But it wasn't because her life was perfect. It was because she had learned how to think differently.
Hmm.
So that's what I want people to know. Peace isn't reserved for people with these perfect lives that are
Nope.
on social media and everything looks wonderful, right? It's available to ordinary people just like you and I, living ordinary lives. And we're learning to take the next step, the forward step, right? The faithful step. And it's it's recognizing that this can happen for you, the listener, right? Like one day at a time. I always like
Yes.
to remind myself, I'm 58 years old. I'm proud of it. It took me 58 years to
Yes.
get here, all the stuff that accumulated into this 58 years, right? And I can't expect something that's still in there festering if when there is stuff, I can't expect that it's just going to whoop go away.
Right.
So allow ourselves grace to figure out, first of all, who do you want to be? And then we can move from there. You can move from there.
I love that you start there. That's perfect. I knew you were going to be so helpful today.
Thank you.
I was right. So tell everyone where to find you, where to find your book, all the things.
All the things. Like I mentioned earlier, you can find me on social media at Coach Darla Nelson. My website is coachdarlanelson.com. And if you go to in my book, of course, that we've seen, let me show it too, is if you go to coachdarlanelson.com, it will lead you from there over to Amazon that you can get the book. It is available wherever books are sold. It's at Barnes and Noble, it's at walmart.com, it's on all these little sites can't even repeat because I don't remember them all. But if you go directly to my website first, then you're going to get access to a free ebook, which
Mm.
is called The Weight Behind I'm Fine. And that's just like a little 3-pager ebook that I created. So go there first and you'll have access to learning some more information.
I can't thank you enough for spending so much time with us and for sharing all your wonderful wisdom with us.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
This is Rebecca Green, and I want to remind everyone to spend every day laughing, learning, and loving. Thank you for tuning in to the Whiny Palooza podcast. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you are there, leave a review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.